Stop scrolling, because what you're about to hear is not just another messy celebrity headline, it's a full-blown implosion happening in real time. King Harris, the son of rap legend T.I., has found himself at the center of a violent prison assault that has left the entire internet in shock. And the way this story unfolded? It's darker, nastier, and far more humiliating than anyone could have predicted. For months, King strutted across social media like nothing could touch him. Flashy cars, diamond-studded chains, live streams filled with arrogance, the smirk of someone who thought life bent to his will. He carried himself like royalty, untouchable, destined to dominate. But reality is cruel. Reality stripped away the luxury, locked him in a cage, and then, just when he thought his name alone could keep him untouchable, reality hit him with fists. And the internet wasted no time. Within hours, TikTok edits, Twitter threads, and Instagram reels were looping the footage. Captions read, "This is what happens when privilege meets the streets." Millions who once hyped him up are now tearing him apart, calling it pure karma. The questions flood in: was this a setup? A gang initiation? Or simply the brutal price of running your mouth in a place where respect is earned with blood, not Instagram likes? Let's rewind, because here's the part that twists the knife. T.I. himself, the man who survived the same streets, warned his son repeatedly. He told him plainly, "The streets will eat you alive if you don't change." But instead of listening, King doubled down. He laughed off the warnings, convinced his father's fame was a shield that would keep him safe. But inside prison walls, last names mean nothing. No luxury, no shield, no escape. And now, the internet is asking the question no one thought they'd ask so soon. Is this the end of King Harris before his career even had a chance to start? Because this wasn't just a fight, it was the dismantling of an image. The so-called street prince dragged into the mud, beaten, humiliated, and exposed in front of the very audience he craved. To really understand the chaos King Harris is drowning in, you have to look at the mask he wore before everything fell apart. King wasn't just some average kid living under his father's shadow, he built a persona. Online, he was loud, unfiltered, and reckless. Every livestream was a performance, him flashing stacks of cash, mocking critics, daring anyone to test him. It was as if he believed the internet crown he placed on his head was real. But what happens when that mask collides with the raw brutality of prison life? Stripped of filters and Wi-Fi, stripped of luxury cars and designer clothes, stripped of fans cheering from behind screens, King walked into a world where arrogance is a death sentence. And the moment he puffed his chest, the wolves circled. Witnesses say the attack wasn't random. It was precise, targeted, the kind of beating designed to humble someone publicly. A warning. In prison, you don't just survive, you either adapt or you're broken down until there's nothing left. And King, despite all his posturing, walked in unprepared. The reaction online has been vicious. Former fans who once cheered his antics are now resharing the fight clips with captions like, "He thought he was built for this life." Comment sections are a battlefield, some calling it karma, others saying it's the wake-up call he desperately needed. And then there are those who wonder if this is just the beginning of something much worse. What makes this moment sting even harder is the hypocrisy it exposed. King spent months mocking people who worked 9-to-5 jobs, people who weren't about that life. Yet now, those same people are watching him fold under pressure, and they're not letting him forget it. His words, his attitude, his sneers, they've all come back to haunt him. And T.I.? Imagine being a father watching the world dismantle your son in real time, knowing you tried to steer him away from this path. The pain of "I told you so" has to be unbearable. Because this wasn't just a fight, it was a prophecy fulfilled. The bruises on King's face might fade, but the damage to his reputation won't disappear so easily. In the age of viral media, every stumble becomes permanent. And for King, the timing couldn't be worse. Just weeks before his arrest, he was talking about dropping music, claiming he'd take over the rap game, that people would finally respect him. But instead of respect, what he got was humiliation, and humiliation travels faster than any mixtape. Clips of the prison altercation are circulating everywhere, stitched into TikToks, dissected in podcasts, even turned into memes. The narrative has shifted, and King no longer controls it. He wanted to be feared, maybe even idolized, but now he's branded as reckless, immature, and, perhaps worst of all, exposed. Once that label sticks, it's nearly impossible to shake off. But the bigger question is this: how does a public figure rebuild after a scandal this raw? Most people in his shoes would disappear, lay low, maybe even seek redemption quietly. Yet King has never been the type to retreat. If history tells us anything, it's that he'll come back louder, angrier, maybe doubling down on the same behavior that got him here in the first place. And that's where things get dangerous. Because every move he makes now will be under a microscope. If he lashes out online, people will mock him. If he tries to drop music, listeners will compare the lyrics to his real-life downfall. If he shows weakness, critics will tear him apart. It's a trap of his own making, and the only way out is to grow. But growth requires humility, something King has never shown. Meanwhile, whispers are spreading in the industry. Some insiders claim that labels are already hestant to touch his music, fearing the chaos he brings. Others say producers see him as unmanageable. And when the business side starts backing away, it doesn't matter who your parents are. The opportunities start drying up. This isn't just about a fight or even about time behind bars. It's about whether King can reinvent himself, or if he'll keep spiraling until there's nothing left but regret. What makes King's fall even more gripping is how it clashes with the legacy of the Harris family itself. T.I. built his name as a rap icon, a businessman, and, at least in public, a figure who fought hard to leave behind the streets. Tiny, King's mother, has long been seen as the nurturing backbone, trying to keep the family grounded despite fame constantly knocking on their door. Together, they crafted an image of success that most people could only dream of. But now, that image is cracking wide open. Behind the scenes, insiders say there's a growing frustration within the family. T.I. reportedly warned King for years about where his attitude and choices would lead. And Tiny, who has always defended her son, was said to be heartbroken watching the clips go viral. Imagine raising a child in luxury only for him to chase the very dangers you spent decades avoiding. It's more than embarrassing, it's a devastating reminder that money can't buy maturity. What's worse is the public spectacle. The Harris family was already used to cameras, whether through reality shows or music videos, but this is different. They're no longer in control of the story. Instead, they're forced to watch strangers pick apart their parenting, their values, their mistakes, all in real time. Comment sections are flooded with statements like, "T.I. failed as a father" or "Tiny spoiled him too much." Suddenly, the family's reputation is being dragged into the chaos King created. And that leads to an uncomfortable truth: King isn't the only one paying the price. Every scandal he sparks ricochets back on his parents, threatening the empire they worked so hard to build. For T, a man who prides himself on respect, seeing his son mocked on the same platforms that once praised him must feel like betrayal in its purest form. But here's the twist: despite the anger and disappointment, the family can't just abandon him. Blood ties mean they're stuck in the storm. The only question left is whether King will let their support pull him out, or if his defiance will drag them all down with him. The fallout from King's behavior isn't just a private nightmare for the Harris family, it's a public earthquake spreading across the entire entertainment industry. When your last name is Harris, your actions don't exist in isolation. Labels, producers, promoters, they all start second-guessing their connections. And in an industry built on reputation, hesitation is the kiss of death. Some insiders whisper that brand deals once quietly being negotiated are now frozen. Who wants their product tied to a face that symbolizes chaos? Even club promoters, who normally thrive on controversy, are backing away. Why? Because King's story isn't the kind of drama that brings fun headlines. It's the kind that spirals, unpredictable, with real-world consequences. Nobody wants their stage or venue associated with a potential disaster. And then there's the hip-hop community itself. Some rappers have offered words of support, but many are watching from the sidelines, skeptical. Respect in the rap game isn't given, it's earned. And when your credibility gets shattered so publicly, it's hard to reclaim. King wanted to prove he was more than T.I.'s son, but now the label he's stuck with is far worse, a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, fans are debating whether he deserves a second chance. Social media has become the courtroom, and the verdict is anything but unanimous. Some say he's just young, making mistakes like anyone else, and should be allowed to grow. Others insist he's had too many chances already, that his privilege gave him opportunities most people never see, and he squandered them. The divide is sharp, and every comment only fuels the fire. What's undeniable is this: the scandal has made King more infamous than famous. In the short term, that infamy might bring clicks and streams. But long term? It's poison. Artists who chase controversy often burn fast and bright, but rarely sustain a lasting career. And unless King flips the script, he risks being remembered not for his music, but for the chaos that drowned it before it ever began. As the dust settles, a chilling question hangs in the air. Is this the point where King finally wakes up, or is it the beginning of a darker descent? Every scandal has a crossroads, and King stands right at it. On one side is the path of redemption, humility, growth, maybe even a chance to rebuild through music or mentorship. On the other side lies destruction, doubling down on pride, ignoring warnings, and sinking deeper into the chaos he once glorified. The irony is brutal. King has access to resources most people could only dream of. He has a father who's lived through the same streets he romanticizes, a mother who shields him from the worst of the public, and opportunities to succeed in entertainment that many grind for decades to touch. Yet, none of that matters if he can't control himself. Because respect isn't inherited, it's earned. And right now, King's actions are erasing whatever respect his family name once guaranteed. And here's where things get dangerous. Scandals like this have a way of escalating. Today, it's a viral fight video. Tomorrow, it could be something far worse. Rumors already circulate that enemies inside and outside the system are watching him closely, waiting for the next slip. When someone is branded as weak in a world built on power, it paints a target on their back. Still, not everyone believes King is beyond saving. Some voices online argue that maybe this humiliation was necessary, that being humbled in front of millions might be the only thing strong enough to break his cycle. A wake-up call wrapped in fists and bruises. But will he take it that way? Or will he use the embarrassment as fuel to lash out even harder? At the end of the day, redemption doesn't come from fans or critics, it comes from choices. And King Harris, for all his noise and bravado, is now forced to make the quietest but most important decision of his life. Does he change, or does he fall? The story of King Harris isn't just another headline, it's a mirror. A mirror that reflects how quickly fame can collapse, how family legacies can crumble under the weight of ego, and how one person's choices ripple far beyond themselves. In many ways, King's saga is bigger than King. It's about the cost of chasing an image, the illusion of invincibility, and the brutal reality that actions always catch up. For years, he portrayed himself as untouchable, someone above consequence. But the fight, the arrest, the public humiliation, it stripped away the illusion. Suddenly, the kid who mocked others for being average became a cautionary tale for millions scrolling online. And that's the paradox. He wanted to be remembered, and now he will be, but not for the reasons he imagined. The real tragedy is the wasted potential. King could have built something powerful with the platform handed to him. Instead, he chose chaos, and chaos doesn't build, it destroys. His family, his fans, even the industry around him, they're all left cleaning up the fallout. And while some people are entertained by the spectacle, others can't help but feel a pang of sadness. Because behind the arrogance and bravado is still a young man, lost, struggling to figure out who he is when the cameras stop rolling. But here's the twist, the story isn't finished yet. Every scandal writes a chapter, but only the person at the center decides how the book ends. King has a chance, however slim, to rewrite his legacy, to take the pain, the humiliation, and the lessons carved into his skin, and turn them into something real. Whether through music, through humility, or through silence, the power is still in his hands. So, will King Harris rise from the rubble, proving everyone wrong?